Hi, I'm Dr. Randy Bach. I'm here on behalf of the Newton Taxpayers Association, which, believe it or not, is a taxpayer association in Newton. You should find us on Facebook at Newton Taxpayer Association, and we're honored today to have two guests, Robert Meyer and Nirit Friedlander, and they are both from the ICAN network, and they'll tell us what that means. I think it's Israeli American Civil Action Network, and that's because well, you might have seen the news. You know, there's a lot of protests going on, and some of them involve the schools, and there's some kind of dictates that are being worked through unions to be figured out what we should be teaching our kids in our schools. So I think this is kind of going to be the under theme of our talk tonight. But, you know, it's ironic that in places in Massachusetts, which, you know, the Jewish population is pretty small worldwide. I think it's 0.2% of the world. There are places locally where it's a little bit higher than that, percentage-wise. And Newton has had a long-term, relatively thriving Jewish community. But you may not necessarily know that or feel that from within the schools. The COVID era kind of brought a window into our schools for parents to see what goes on at home, what goes on in the schools. And I think a lot of that has not been a pretty picture. The Newton schools suffered a vast reduction in enrollment since 2019. I think it's gone down 14%. 1 out of 7 students have been pulled for other places. Some of it's, I think, the general quality of the education or lack thereof. Newton schools don't seem to be paying as much attention to academics as they can. Anyway, that's kind of a preface to the fact that there are also some things, not only are they not teaching the regular subjects well, but they're teaching some things, I think, purposefully, politically wrong. So there's right and left in politics, and there's also right and wrong. And we're going to try to cover some of that. And I'm honored to have my guests, as I mentioned, Robert Meyer and Nirit Friedlander. So thank you so much for being with us. Tell us a little about yourselves. We'll start with you, Robert.
Thank you.
And tell us what is ICAN, aside from, I think maybe it's a Sammy Davis song at one point, but the ICAN network, what is that?
So ICAN, Israeli American Civic Action Network, is a civic organization, an advocacy organization, pro-Israel, pro-Jewish organization, dealing mainly as a lobby with local politics, local governments, so state, city, towns, as opposed to, APAC, that's a big organization, deals with the federal organizations. We mainly focus on education, on anti-Semitism, on Holocaust education, on really supporting the Israeli American, the Jewish American life in their local communities.
Well, thank you. And Nirit, you're a Newton resident, is that right?
Yes, I'm a Newton resident. I'm a Newton mom. I have kids in school.
Mm-hmm.
I have 3 kids. One of them now is in 9th grade. And yeah.
Fair enough. So my experience with the schools has been, and I've had a window on this through certain groups. People, give me suggestions, and I've had on Steve Gerzoff on my show a few different times. There's been a kind of a, I'm going to just say, kind of this leftist Islamic alliance orientation throughout the schools. I'll give you one quick anecdote. I'll hopefully be quick. This is from a while ago. Check my watch. About 20 years ago, George W. Bush was president. My kids were younger. Frankly, every day that in the past they were younger than they are today. Anyway, in this particular junction, they were teaching the Scarlet Letter, and the teacher was very much inflamed about how women are treated in the United States, and the Scarlet Letter is A for adultery. And Heather Prynne, I think her name was, so I think it's a Hawthorne book. She had to wear the Scarlet Letter, and she was isolated and scorned because she had committed adultery. Now, it seems unfair because it takes 2 to tango, and the man wasn't similarly ostracized or put out that way. And this is supposedly the same things happening in the United States today, and that women bear a unique oppression in the United States. And I'm like, okay, well, I've seen The Handmaid's Tale kind of stuff that happened a little bit later, I think. But I sent a note to the teacher, and I linked to some videos. I didn't put them graphically on the email, saying, well, you know, as far as, you know, women being oppressed, depressed, repressed, suppressed for adultery and things of that sort, you can look to the Islamic world. And if, you know, Afghanistan was in the news at the time, and Iraq and whatnot, and you can look no further than those two places, in Afghanistan in particular, that women were getting stoned, not like, you know, smoking joints, but literally getting stones thrown at them. They're buried up to their necks in the soil and have stones thrown at them because they were involved in adultery. And again, the man is nowhere to be seen as far as this goes. And, you know, that's a powerful concept, but it should be well known to the teacher. I said, look, if you're going to be talking about women oppression, you know, that might be someplace point of departure rather than saying the United States is the worst place for women in the world, because it's not by any stretch of the imagination. But it had this kind of same political aspect of always avoiding the bad parts of Islam. And it seems to be that we kind of focus within the places we can talk. And I don't know how you maybe approach what's going on regarding Israel. I don't feel that my anecdote, you know, bears any weight as a way of framing the type of things that get spoken about. Just as a quick preface, you know, I wrote that one letter. I was told by I wasn't responded to by the teacher. I don't think anything changed in the school, and the principal told me never to write any letters again to that teacher or my kid. Well, I don't know, bad things would happen. We're all still alive, fortunately. Anyway, so what are the kind of things that are happening in the schools? How do we frame this? What is going on, and who are the groups, and what's happening basically?
Yeah. So let me just give you a little bit of background, because being a parent myself and putting my daughter through the public system in Brookline personally, I had the choice, right, whether to send her to a Jewish day school or to send her to the public system, and I chose the public system. I thought it's a great education here in Massachusetts. It's one of the best states in the country, and it's diverse, and it would give her a great breadth of education, both in terms of the people that she deals with and the topics and the quality of education. Today I can tell you I would never put my kid in the public system. It's that bad in my opinion. And I actually told her now that she's an adult, I told her, you know, when you have kids, make sure you save enough money to go to private school.
Well, what's the bad part? What are we talking about? I mean,
so it's, you know, I'm an engineer, I'm an entrepreneur, high-tech entrepreneur. I start companies. I never expected to deal with politics, and what triggered it all, it was education, right? She was, I think, in 5th grade or 6th grade, one of the middle school grades, and it was middle of the Arab Spring, and they were taught in school about the Arab Spring, that the rise of the Islamic extremism, you know, the terrorism, ISIS, all of that stuff, was because of Israel. Okay, so things were happening all over the Arab world, not related at all to Israel, but it was because of Israel. And that's when I understood, you know what, I have to see exactly what's going on. There was already issues happening in the Newton high school system during those years. We heard, you know, kids of my friends that were already in the high schools here were facing anti-Semitic curriculum and anti-Semitic anti-Israel studies that were being spread to them. And I said, you know, I have to monitor them. You know, I expected to be a parent that helps his kid with math, physics, you know, the sciences. Luckily, I didn't have to do that, but I started being involved in history lessons and literature and other things which are not my forte, to be honest. And as soon as she got into high school, that's when it really struck, right? I mean, that's when the attacks started happening. Newton was real problematic for many years. I got involved as an activist now during Mayor Setti's time.
right, Seti Warren.
Yes, and became good friends, and he was very supportive of our fight and battle in the Newton system. We faced very similar situations in Brookline, where what happened then was that teachers, specific teachers, and leaders in the history classes across the grades became activists on their own. They were volunteering or bringing their own curriculum, their own materials from the outside into the classroom.
Yeah.
Things that we eventually learned that were either given to them in Harvard or in other places that were manufactured either in Qatar or in Saudi Arabia or in the Palestinian Authority. Things that were basically demonizing Israelis, demonizing Zionism. And by that, any Jew that supports Israel is now a demon.
Right.
Right? And suddenly the parents of those kids were child killers, because we started in the idea.
Yeah, no, it never seems to be a big issue. Like, there was a Syrian civil war, and I'm not sure the number of people dead from that, but there are, millions, 10 million migrants, whatever, left Syria. Syria's a mess, all by themselves. The different factions, the Alawites, there's the Druze, there's the, various sects of Islam. I think it's mostly Sunni there, but they're aligned with the Shia. Anyway, they fight. Lebanon, civil war, endlessly between the Christians and the Amal and the whatever. There's going on and on. Sudan, millions die. There's South Sudan now. There was Darfur.
Yeah.
There's all kinds of stuff going on in the general horizon of crime. Yemen has been a horrible civil war. I don't know the numbers dead there. There's, it's a nonstop, bloodfest. Iran and Iraq fought for, I don't know, better part of like 5-7 years or something like that, with millions dead. Who started all that? Was that all the Jews too? I mean, it's like you just don't hear a word about that stuff. It always seems to be like, oh yeah, no, I like Jews, but I don't like Zionism. Everybody else should have his own nation. Whether you're Tunisian. I mean, there's I don't know how many different Arab nations, you can count them, but there's Islam is kind of a big, powerful force. More than 1 billion people are enlisted, and it goes all the way from Indonesia, historically to Morocco, whatever. But now it's going everywhere else. We see this all throughout Europe, and so forth. It seems like, to me, to be kind of a political stream, and there's no. In basketball, they have the full court press. They guard you from the beginning when you touch the ball to the end, and if it's hard to perform, right. But it seems like this is something that happens. For the all this talk about the Jews controlling the world, it's like doesn't seem to be we can even control schools where Jews represent a significant I'm not sure plurality, but a significant fraction of the population, Brookline, Newton, whatnot. Definitely. It seems like very much on home turf that this is Jews are demonized. Yeah. And the left is a kind of a very fickle friend. Because I'm old enough to remember when Israel was kind of the plucky upstart. They were not favored to win any of their wars in 48, 56, kind of a not really their thing, but 67 and then beyond. 73 they were down on the mat, and it was kind of like they were socialists. Israel was formed by socialists, by the same left that is demonizing them today, and somehow because they win wars, they're not really attractive anymore, and so they found a new underdog. How does that play out kind of historically for you? And we'll try to get to the kind of what's going on, what are you doing about it? What's the organization do? And what can be changed? Is it just pull your kids out, find another place to live? What's the answer?
No,
here?
so definitely that's not the answer. The answer is to fight back, and we are making a change, and we are able to improve things. So first of all, for example, in Brookline and Newton, then we engaged directly. And we were able to affect change. And it's interesting what you just said. You said something earlier that reminded me of that story exactly, because you said there is right and wrong, not just right and left.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember we started with Brookline, and when we engaged directly as parents, as grassroots effort, right, with the administration there, the school administration. And there was this whole concept of we have to respect both sides' narratives.
Right.
Right, and I remember saying that to the school administrator at that point, and that was the pivot point where everything started to change for the better. It says, yeah, but you also have to realize that there is right and wrong, and you have to teach that, right? And honestly, we solved Brookline at that time until that person retired, and now it's going downhill again. Unfortunately, it's all about the personnel, and. Then we basically shamed Newton into saying, look, Brookline solved it, why can't you? And then then Newton also solved it, or attempted to solve it. Newton showed a lot of improvement over the years, and until October 7th. October 7th, changed everything again.
Yeah, you wouldn't think it would. I mean, it's like, you know, October 6th, Gaza had been, you know, how many, 18 years under self-rule. They had one man, one vote, one time. So they chose Hamas, and then Hamas chose themselves, you know, ever since. And so they got rid of everything Israeli. Basically, they're Judenfrei, you know, from my understanding.
We actually buried out the bones of our dead to keep it completely free of Jews.
Yeah, no, that's a wonderful thing, right? You know, I listened to Jerry Callahan on a podcast, and he, when Donald Trump got shot at and blessedly lived, you know, in Butler, Pennsylvania, a year ago, he said, "This has energized me so much." He said, "I would walk to vote for Donald Trump now. I would walk through glass on my knees wearing a yarmulke in Gaza," you know, which is kind of a dangerous proposition.
Yeah.
You know, I have a college buddy who's nominally Jewish and a very erudite man, and literate and whatnot, but he's kind of a both sides thing, and he's kind of like talking about the genocide in Gaza. What's the genocide in Gaza?
Right. There's no genocide in Gaza. The genocide in Gaza was an attempt of Gazans to penetrate Israel and kill as many Jews as they could. And if they weren't so perverse, I mean, I don't know how many saw the videos of what was going on. If they weren't so perverse in trying to not just kill, but also maim, rape, humiliate, burn, if they just went on killing,
torture,
they would have been much more successful in killing more Jews because they would have more time. They just
they spent fussing. They fussed over it. It's like it's a horrible
and they
thing.
bragged about it.
And the funny thing is,
and they transmitted it live over Facebook.
Yeah.
It's disgusting.
No, it's an amazing thing. I pointed out to the same friend. I said, look, if you know, in many ways, Gaza is probably worse than Nazi Germany because the Nazis had to hide the mutilations. They had to hide the horrible crimes. They had to hide it from their own people. Their people had a religious, you know, Christian base, Lutheran, whatnot. And not everyone was practicing whatever, but there's a basic formulation that you don't do that kind of stuff. In Gaza, it's all open game. So, you know, I'm sorry to bring this anecdote up, but at one point, there was John Kerry was Secretary of State, and I saw a cartoon of that era, and he's having, you know, I think Mahmoud Abbas and whoever the prime minister was, so like, you want to kill all the Jews, and you all want to live. Can we meet halfway? but it's, you know, so it just seems that there's this kind of focus on everything the Jews do, and if there is so much control, like you know, I forget Golda Meir, I think, said, you know, if we didn't have any arms, we'd be all dead. If they didn't have any arms, we'd have peace.
And October 7 was the perfect example. We didn't have any arms at those areas, and they died.
Yeah.
And you know, that's a different story, you know, that we are dealing with as Israelis, as where was the army. But that's exactly what Golda Meir said came to fruition on that day, on those first 10 hours.
So it's getting back to my friend. He wants to have, you know, peace. It's like, okay, well, like, fine, everyone likes to, but, you know, I mean, you could be at a dance and say, oh, we want everyone to get married. But if everybody, that you know, if your choice to get married, if people want to, like, stab you, I mean, I'm sure you can get married. It takes, you know, the expression is it takes two to tango. So what is the actual things you can do constructively? I've been talking too much, and I apologize. What are the things that are part of your network, and what is the access that people can find who are interested in this topic, you know, either by figuring out we have school committee elections this year in Newton, probably other towns. It's an odd year for that numerically. What are the things people can do? What do you have going? What's on the palette?
Yeah. So let me just give you a short background of what's been happening since October 7th that actually led us to what we're doing now. So on October 8th, basically, riots and demonstrations and cheering started happening all over the Commonwealth, right? Both in campuses and in schools. Our own kids were harassed in their schools, mainly high schools, but it started going down to middle school and elementary school, with children just cheering what was happening on October 7th, then immediately attacking them for, oh, you're the ones who are causing the genocide, and what happened, you deserve it, and your parents are child killers, and free Palestine, and erase Israel, etc., etc. There are so many things that were said. And so that happened in the classroom, that happened on the schoolyard. But then,
Then
the
was
sorry, yeah, please.
So then, on March 23, there was a webinar of MTA, and
That's the Massachusetts Teachers Association.
Massachusetts Teachers
That's a
Association.
union.
It's a union in Massachusetts, a bigger union in Massachusetts, and I was in this webinar. I wanted to see what's going on. What are they talking about? It was something about Palestinian. This is the topic. And like 2.5 hours, they just talked about how much Israel is so bad and treats so bad to Gaza, and they gave so much example and lies and show like I just couldn't hear. I didn't believe that I hear this, and I couldn't even interrupt, because there was all of them. Max Page, the president of the MTA, also was there. He's a Jewish, and
Yeah, I sent him an
and
email.
they just
I actually emailed
incite
him to be on the
and
show.
speak not just lies and mislead all the, like they wanted the teachers go and teach at class. They encouraged them to speak about the conflict and to represent. And the thing that I was really in shock, that they said, you can be anti-Zionist, it's fine. It's not anti-Semitic. You can.
Right.
This is fine. So.
No, I hate this formulation. You know,
Like
you can be
what?
you can be
Where
anti-France,
should we
but
go? Or
love the
Jewish
French,
in
but be
Israel?
anti-France. You can be,
Yeah.
you know, anti-Italy, but love the Italians. This doesn't happen anywhere else. It's like I love Tunisians, but I hate Tunisia. Like, no, I understand there are probably examples of governments like people in the Soviet Union didn't like the Soviet. And they might be one ethnicity or another. They don't like their government. I don't think that's the case with Israel. I think Israel has kind of an exemplary government in the context of what goes on place to place.
And why should teachers speak about politics at school?
They shouldn't.
They need to, to teach.
It doesn't ever stop. It doesn't ever stop.
That's why. So after that, I realized that I need to do something. I cannot just sit aside and see what's happened. And I started to go to protest and against the MTA. They did a conference, and we saw in Springfield. We did a protest against the MTA, and they came with kafia. All the teachers came with kafia to the conference. How should Jewish teachers feel when they see when Hamas went to slaughter our people? They wear this scarf on themselves.
Yeah. So then what we did is we organized, because we are powered by grassroots, right? We organized parents, students, and Jewish teachers, and invited politicians, local officials from the state and from the cities and from school committees and superintendents to a big webinar that we did. It was extremely well viewed. Thousands of people saw it live, and where we had both students and Jewish teachers give testimony about the hostile environment that they have experienced in school. Jewish teachers are experiencing a hostile work environment. Students are afraid to go to school. Yeah. That was very successful, and it inspired Senator Velis and Representative Cataldo from our Massachusetts state and the governor to build an anti-Semitism commission, which is really, I have to say, it should be the way it's run, and what's coming out of it should be an example to other states. And I can give you, because we are a national organization, we've been fighting this also, for example, in California. Okay? In California, they do everything upside down. First, they try to pass bills, terrible bills that include anti-Semitism in them that we have to fight, and we were able to fight. We won, and kill those bills. Then they try to build, instead of them, good bills that are fighting anti-Semitism, fighting hate in general. That's great. But here, what they did is they started this commission first. They study the subject. They study the matter. They bring a lot of people, a lot of speakers in front of them, and then they come with a report with clear policy recommendations.
Yeah.
So they came with these policy recommendations. In one of their sessions was intriguing. It's like a must-watch on must-see TV. They confronted Max Page from the MTA with the materials that his board of the Massachusetts Teachers Association Union Board were trying to build curriculum, okay, to teach hate of Jews and hate of Israel, but not just Israel, Jews, and I'll give you an example, in the classroom. They were trying to push it into the classroom. They actually, one of the examples is an image that they had of the Star of David in forms of dollar bills, okay? That's not Israel, right? Okay.
And the worst thing that he didn't even realize why we are asking him this question. He said, "Okay, it's fine. We need to talk about it with children, with kids."
Yeah. So what?
Why not you give them facts and talk about this?
Well, it depends what the age. I mean, they should. I think they should just stick to their subject matter. But carry on.
Yeah.
Last minute or two.
Exactly. So they came up with a report. We, as ICANN, we submitted our response to their report with their recommendation. We added to their recommendation. They adopted most of them. So we're very happy with what they're coming up with. And now we're doing a teachers retreat. What we decided to do is, okay, let's not just educate the population, but also educate the teachers.
Yeah.
And we've opened a retreat for Massachusetts teachers, MTA teachers. It's free of charge for them to come. When is it?
Yeah, the goal is to to put facts into school. Like, we understand that there is a lot of lies and misinformation that teachers learn from MTA. They put in their website anti-Semitic resources, as Robert said, and we decided that we need to lead and be alternative to these resources,
Yeah.
and to bring facts to school. And how we are going to do it? We are going to bring speakers that very famous, and everyone wants to hear from them, and can I continue?
Yeah, we have 1 minute left, so I want to be able. People can find you.
Yeah.
Can you tell us the information where people can find you, and maybe encourage their teacher friends to join you? Give us the date, the place, and what is the name of the web page?
We want teachers with open-minded that want to learn and want to become a better teacher for their students, to come and get tools how to help their children.
What's the name of the web page?
The website is I don't remember.
ICANnaction.org.
So ICAN action.org. This is what's important for people.
And it's on September 14th.
September 14th.
September 14th, and yeah.
And how are you charging for this? Or?
No charge.
So we have now it's there is charge, but we have a coupon. You can put the Teach 25 code, and you'll get a free. It's for K to 12 teachers.
All right. So
we also invite school committee members. Right, superintendent, yeah.
We appreciate that. So thank you so much, Robert and Nirit, for being with us. People can find you and on the ICANaction.org. And this is the new Taxpayer Association. We care about this because we are paying for this stuff. It's your schools. You pay for it. You should see what you have. So keep your eyes open. Try to follow up with people you know who have kids in our schools.